Have you tried diet after diet without finding long-term success? Well, believe it or not, it's not you. So many people think they know what they need to do to get healthy, but there's so much misinformation out there that many of us are sabotaging our health goals without even knowing it. Hi, I'm Carrie, a wife, mom, educator, and certified nutrition coach. After being frustrated by dieting and all the confusion out there about what actually works, I decided to figure it out. And what I discovered on my journey challenged everything I thought I knew about nutrition. And the solution is actually much simpler than you realize. So now, I'm on a mission to disrupt everything you think you know about nutrition too. Welcome to the Diet Disruptors Podcast. Well, hey, Diet Disruptors, Carrie here, and another episode with a client who will inspire you like no one else. I am so excited. I've wanted Katie, I call her Katie Mad Dog because her Facebook name is Mad Dog. It always makes me so happy whenever I see her on any of our coaching calls or communicating in our group, in our membership group, Mad Dog. And she's like fierce, like Mad Dog. Katie is here and she has such a story to share. And I know that, well, it might be nerve-wracking to come on to a podcast like this. She pushed through her fear because she knows she has a story that she needs to tell because it will inspire other people. So hi, Katie, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. I've been like waiting for this moment. And so I have to tell everybody that I distinctly remember the moment I was on a call with you. You had talked to one of our coaches first. Who did you talk to? I forget. Was it?
It was Karen.
Oh, it was
Karen.
Carrie.
Yeah. Carolyn.
Right.
Yes.
All right. That's right. Because Carolyn talks about you all the time. Okay. So you were talking to Carolyn for a little while. And then I remember I got on a call to be able to like chat with you and be like, okay, it's like we're real people. I promise. We're not, even though you might meet us on like a Facebook or an Instagram, I promise we're not those spammy people. And, we had you in a place of feeling like your husband was on the call and he was so supportive. And it was so interesting because Katie, the moment you were like, okay, I'm going to do this, you got really freaked out. And I saw it in your face and I was like, what's going on? And you're like, I don't know. I'm just really freaking out right now. And your husband was even like, you can do this. You can do this. He was so supportive, but yet it's almost like you didn't have faith in yourself in some reason. What was going through your mind at that moment, right before you were about to like literally click the button to say yes?
So I kind of remember like the feeling of when I first did a half marathon. It
Okay.
was like the scariest part is right before the sound goes off and you start running. And it's like you start fearing like, can you even do this moment? And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And yet my husband's sitting here, Carrie Lynn's sitting here, and you're sitting there, and you're like giving me pointers and things like I can do this. But I had self-doubt. I doubted myself because I've had a past of doing the programs and they worked for a short term, they didn't work for a long term. And I was like, is this just another one? But it didn't feel like just another one. So my head was spinning.
Yeah.
And so I kind of took my husband's thought process at this point and just kind of decided, you know what, I'm going to bite the bullet. But I had to really work through those moments.
Yeah, yeah, because you were making an investment in yourself financially, but also like you were buying into the idea that this was it. And what if it's not? Then what do you do? And I always think that that's part of the fear that I don't even know if we realize right away. Do you think that could have been part of that too?
Oh, absolutely. You've been told many times, I did other programs and some of them are like very promising. And yet when you start doing them, you know that there's something missing. And
Mm.
so in my brain, I'm like, is there something else that's going to happen that's going to be missing? Or is this really truly the last nutritional advice I'll ever need? And
And
it was the last nutritional advice I ever will need.
I love it. So let's backtrack though a little bit. When you actually started talking to us, what was going on in your life? Why were you at this place where you actually got on a call with a random woman who had an ad on Facebook and said, I'm willing to hear what you have to say? Because in order to get to that place, you have to be in a pretty bad place, I think.
Yeah, so what I had lost weight a while ago, like, give or take 10 years ago. And it is easier when you're younger. And I had just recently gotten married, like very recent. It was October, and I joined in, I think, late November, early December. And I didn't love my photos, but it was moreover that I wanted to go do things with my very active husband.
Yes.
He loves to be like, we're always doing things around the home. He's building you know, um, a fire pit right now with like big stones, and he's just always go, go, go. And I was like, I want to keep up with him.
Hmm.
But I also missed that self that I had when I did lose weight and I was more agile and I was able to do all the things that I wanted to go do. And life happened, and I had a horrible relationship prior that just had me feeling very insecure about food. He
Mm,
was one of those people that kind of forced me to big and not healthy foods. And so I started putting on the weight.
hmm.
And then I ended up putting on even more weight after leaving him, because when you leave a traumatic relationship, you tend to go towards food. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's not just eating too much, it's actually eating too little.
Yeah.
And so you compensate between the two. You binge eat and then you stop eating, and then you binge eat and then you stop eating. And so there were days I would probably not eat but one meal a day
Hmm.
and just live off that one, sometimes ginormous meal and sometimes very small meal.
Hmm.
And I realized how much I was not serving my body, or technically my soul.
Hmm.
And so I had started realizing how bad of a relationship I had with food. Food was one of those things that was just, it was more like I always felt like I was indulging, even if it was healthy.
Mm.
And I thought that it was guilt ridden, even if I put one morsel in my mouth. And which is kind of goofy because we are needing to eat. We have to eat
Yeah, but
to
you
live.
haven't really learned.
And so I started,
I think people know the concept of that, like, sure, but our
mhm,
diet mentality is deficit, 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 less, eat less, eat less, eat less. So anything you
100%.
eat, you then struggle with because the idea
Mhm.
is can you muscle through hunger pains? That's what it's going to take. And it's just such misinformation.
Very much so. And I mean, until I met you and this whole group of amazing people, I thought apples were terrible for you. Oranges were too much sugar. It was like you can't eat. I mean, I went on when I lost weight the first time, I did it so unhealthy, and I
Mhm.
never served my soul either. So for over a
Mhm.
year, I never ate ice cream because that would be terrible. And I realized in the end, that's also devastating because you got to enjoy life too. And
Yes.
so this whole program is really put back in my brain that, food is actually okay. There's nothing wrong with food. And it's how you nourish your body that's going to help you thrive in the end. And it's okay to have those days where you have a little bit more soul-filled foods, as long as you go back to the body-filled foods more often.
It's a balance. You sound like a coach, Katie.
Someday I would love to be a coach.
It's amazing to me how far you've come in your confidence. And talk to me about that because a lot of times you've lost weight before and had a certain look to to your body. And yeah, I will say all day long, there's plenty of skinny, unconfident people, smaller people who are not confident, and there's plenty of larger people who are confident. Confidence does not come from the size of your body, but it comes from if you really believe in yourself and what you're doing is right. And so talk to me about your confidence these days.
So it's funny. I still struggle sometimes with my body image, but I think that that is something that I'm working against. It's like I start thinking about how I wish I was this, but then I say to myself, but I'm on the road to a healthier lifestyle, which will, sure, it will get me to lose the weight, but in the end, it's going to help me mentally not hate myself for having a donut. I don't, it's like I don't eat them very often. If I do have one, I don't have to self what's the word I'm looking for? Despise myself because I decided to have a treat. And I think it's a food freedom to realize that food can be fun. And my favorite phrase you say is, serve your body and serve your soul. And you do need both. And I realized that I was not serving either one. Even if I were to eat healthy forever, it's like your body then your mind gets overwhelmed. The confidence I think comes with knowing that tomorrow or even the next meal, I can just wipe clean anything that I might have done before, or just start new. Or I can have a treat and say, you know what, next time I'm going to have a nice PFC balanced meal and it's going to be great. I don't have to stress over the foods that I'm putting in my mouth. I don't have to worry about, feeling guilty over any of that stuff. And it makes me feel freer to just be myself instead of worrying about everything else. And I think then things just kind of fall into place. And because of that, I think even my daughter is starting to see things a little bit different with food. And I think that that's helping me also realize that I'm on the right track too.
For sure. I mean, you cannot teach what you do not know, believe, and live. And there's no way, if you are not a rocket scientist, that you really truly can teach your kids how to be a rocket scientist. You can give them books and maybe, lead them in that direction, but you're not going to be able to be the one to mentor them. But as parents, and this is one of the things that I think it seems so obvious, but I think it's really made me realize in the last few years is food, unlike other quote unquote vices, other things that we've struggled with, like maybe alcohol or smoking or compulsive shopping or gambling or things like that. You can remove yourself from those situations. You don't go to bars. You truly disengage. But food we need. It's a part of every single day. And our feelings around food in our body and our ability to enjoy food or allow it to serve us, understanding the discipline of declining, all of those things is it constantly revisits with us. And as we are raising children, however we feel about this food is going to rub off on them because, it's not like you can say, oh, you want to be a rocket scientist? Okay, I don't know anything about it. I can lead you in that direction, but I can't help you. This is like food. Like we do this every single day, and how we live is actually how I'm teaching you. I can't get away from it. I can't say, oh, you could go learn that from someone else. The only place you're going to learn it from is me as your parent, as well as society. And you're going to have to be the loudest voice. The loudest voice wins. And we both have kids that are a little bit older. They're not little kids anymore. So we have to kind of start from a different place if we're only just learning it now ourselves. So I know that your daughter has been kind of a piece of this puzzle for you. So over these last few months that you've been working with us, what do you think you are doing differently to be able to deal with this quote unquote vice that you have had for a while in terms of your relationship with food, and how you're trying to show up so your daughter doesn't necessarily have those same issues later?
Well, I think her seeing me and Joel actually eating more often has helped her actually eat more often. Now, I can't say she's always making the wise food choices, but I think that
My kids
comes in
either.
strides.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I feel like, I kind of relay this the same way as, okay, so if you take a ruler, you have a 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, and if you start at zero and then, like you start working towards your goals and you start making changes and you hit to like second and third inch, but then some things may happen, you back up and you go back to inch number 2, but that's now your new starting point and you still have a better foundation. And then you kind of keep inching forward and you might inch backwards a little bit or just even centimeters back. And then you keep going forward and you find a new like foundational spot in your life. And I think she's starting to realize that because she's starting to eat like breakfast and lunch and dinner. And she's starting to realize like even shakes are very helpful for her because she's like, I'm always on the go because she's working at a doggy daycare, which she loves, but it's active. And then she's like, but I'm hungry. So then she'll take a shake with her. And so she's starting to fuel her body when she wasn't for quite some time. In fact, 2020 really threw her for a loop, like many people. And ended up losing like 30 pounds out of stress and anxiety and fear. And so her eating has really been a struggle for a while. And ever since this program, she's starting to see all the things that Joel and I are doing. And Joel's dabbling in his own
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And we all kind of grow at our own pace. And all three of us are realizing that, man, we feel better when we fuel more often.
Yes. Isn't that amazing? And when you feel better, your body is
Mm-hmm.
doing better. It's so funny. We just had this mindset for so long that if we are depriving ourselves, that's what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to feel like garbage in order to quote unquote lose weight. And to your point about your daughter losing 30 pounds, it wasn't in a healthy way. My daughter went through a traumatic experience her first semester of college, and she lost a lot of weight because she simply wasn't eating. And she was absolutely not the healthiest version of herself. So we have to get out of the mindset that going after weight loss means health. Weight loss is a byproduct of a healthy body, but we could lose weight and be very unhealthy. And so you live that.
I did. I lived that working with a different program at one point in my life. And I don't know how much I can say on that, but
Yeah, whatever.
it
You can say
was,
anything. We
they
had
were,
no rules.
it was, okay, good. It was Weight Watchers, and, you have points. And so I'm looking at these points, and I would eat everything earned and given to me, and I still would lose 3 to 5 pounds in a week. And I thought that that was nuts. And so I would talk to the coach back then, and they're like, no, this is great progress. And I was like, but I feel horrible. And I was working on a marathon, like half marathon training at the time. And so I could never eat enough to
Mhm,
fuel my body to do those runs in a healthy manner. And
mhm,
I would crash and I would get cold. I don't know if you've ever ran, but I
mhm.
would get really cold after some of my long runs. And I felt like something was wrong. So I ended up quitting because I realized that it was not working for my body because I was depriving it of
Yeah.
healthy things to make it help. Because I also did a lot of weightlifting back then, but I couldn't even do that as much as I probably could now because I'm fueling my body in a much stronger, healthier manner.
And these are where we're always on this journey. You're cultivating this marriage now between you and your body. You've gone through the honeymoon period. So as you think about these kinds of things, and now my whole goal is that you can become your own nutrition coach. And I really feel like you are there. You've actually, I know, supported some of our other members in answering questions. And I love it. You're on our coaching calls every week. I see you cultivating this relationship. So what are you doing now to continue to know that, okay, this is a journey I'm continuing to up level because we're never done. And I think that's a really big part of this. There's no finish line. You make it through like one milestone of either learning, education, understanding your body, and then it's time to keep going, but at a pace and with decisions that you're making for yourself. So tell us what your cultivation plan is right now.
So for me, the LDR, you learn, you revise, you redo, you keep redoing.
Mhm.
So when I was early in the program, you're kind of really in it, and then you really love it, but once you leave the program, you're kind of on your own a little bit with the support of everybody else,
Yeah.
and then you
And when we
realize
say leave
that
the
the
program,
support
it's
is
like, so
really
for people
important.
that don't know, we have like our honeymoon period
Yes,
where there's a lot of learning and the
yes,
foundational stuff. And then once you move past that, you're moving into your quote unquote marriage between you and your body. And
yes.
I talk about the gradual release of responsibility. We're going to go from us as the expert to you as the expert, learning how to fly your own plane. And at the end of the day, you're responsible for being in that cockpit.
But being in that cockpit, you must show up for coaching calls, and you must show up and be present in all the things all the time. And it actually makes me sad when, unfortunately, like I do have a job and I have a business that I'm running that I sometimes can't make it to those things, but the first thing I can do is go back and rewatch the replays,
Yeah.
and it just serves my soul, and it keeps me in that moment of my journey is always in my forefront. And
Yeah.
if I'm not taking the steps to stay in it, then I'm going to fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like being involved, having a plan, revising that plan when you need to. Things come up, life happens. Like
Mhm.
You have to kind of be prepared for those things. And sometimes it's you may, I don't want to call it fail, because it's not called failing. You might not do what you planned on doing, but you can always pivot.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, there was a day I had a long session. It was 6 hours of a photo session, and it was an hour away from home. And both my husband and I were starving, and we did not want to stop at a fast food place.
Mhm.
But we also knew that we were not in a place not to eat.
Yep.
And so we had to serve our bodies with maybe not the most nutritional food ever, but it's still serving my body, even though it seemed like soul food. And
Yep.
we realized that that is more important. By just fueling our body, we're going to stay up and be healthier and be happier, because who wants to be hangry?
Love that.
And
I
we're going
I
to be
I
able to
love that.
thrive.
Yeah, so I'd love to like share a little bit for people to know what we mean by that. So I always say food serves your body and food serves your soul. And if we look at food as unhealthy or healthy, as good or bad, then we relate those definitions to our own guilt when we eat them. And it's a dynamic concept because to your point, you had nothing else. You didn't have any food on you. You didn't even have like any protein bars or anything like that. So it was like, okay, we got to eat what's going to serve our body right now. And if it's going to be Taco Bell or Wendy's, okay, that's fine. It's going to serve our body right now. And how can I make the choice that's going to serve my body the best as possible? And Wendy's would not always be food that is considered serving your body, but when you have no other options, I don't know if it's Wendy's, McDonald's, Taco Bell, it doesn't matter. That is a moment where Taco Bell serves your body. And I think that that's a really cool way to be able to pivot and be your own coach. Like, this is what I got here. So, this is what I'm going to do. And by not attributing it to good, bad, healthy, or unhealthy, but this is my opportunity to serve my body, there's no guilt anymore. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, no guilt at all. It was so cool. And it was one of those things where, we knew we'd probably not feel the greatest, because when you're eating clean and you're eating healthy, you tend to feel things a little bit different.
Yeah.
But at the same token, it actually wasn't as bad as just being so hungry that you wanted to eat your left arm.
Yes.
So it was one of those things where I'm like, let's just do this. It's just today. We can get back on track the next meal, the next day, and we'll be fine. And
Yeah.
if you have to, you can eat a very clean, meal, when you get home, like 3 hours later or 4 hours or whatever it is that you need.
Yeah.
And so the whole concept is very freeing, and it makes me not so tethered to the scale. It's not tethered to putting a chain on the fridge. I don't have to worry about feeling guilty about any morsels that I do put in my mouth. Learning how to feed my body and fuel my body, move my body, spin my supplements and my exercise and my stress level, and let alone sleep. I can't tell you how much more I sleep. I have been an insomniac most of my life, and
Wow.
now I sleep. I sleep so good most of the time. And usually, like last night was a really hectic, or yesterday was a really hectic day. So I didn't sleep like the best, but I don't feel horrible, because my body is still working better than it has in years, because I'm fueling it, I'm moving it, I'm loving it, I am taking care of it, and now it's starting to take care of me.
I love it. And I think what's so cool is you have now made the decision that you are going to get certified as a lifestyle coach. And I know that was a hard decision for you a little bit. You were like, you texted me, you were like hemming and hawing a little bit about it. What was hard about that decision for you?
I, there's times where you start questioning, well, can I really do this? But this has been a passion of mine. I was a dancer for 15 years. I did point ballet, jazz, tap, all those things back when I was a kid, up through, I think I was 17 when I quit. And I've always loved moving. I then, like I said, joined a gym, and I started working out, lifting, running, did a couple, small marathons and 5Ks and 10Ks, and just love moving, sort of lifting weights, and movement has always been a big deal. Health has always been a big deal. My family's not always the healthiest, and I think I always just wanted that healthy realm.
Yeah.
And so being able to teach it to other people is kind of been a passion. But for a short term, I was like, I don't know. Is it something that I should, could, can do? Had those questions, and that's spinning thing again. But then my husband said, you're already kind of doing it. So you might as well just get certified.
Yeah. Yeah. And I could just see how you really, I mean, anybody that has come full circle has made such a transformation in their mindset. The reason I chose the hat today was because mindset mattered so much for you and your journey. And because it mattered so much for you and you've dug in, I always say, like, you just got to pick up the bowling ball. We're going to put the gutter guards down for you. You have picked up the bowling ball every single day in some way, shape, or form. And as a result, your self-awareness, your thinking about yourself, your confidence, everything has changed. You're still on this journey, just like I'm still on this journey. We're all still on this journey, but you are so far ahead of where you were not that long ago. When did you actually start? How many months ago was it?
I want to say December
Yeah, I thought it
when
was
I
6 months,
joined.
but I think it's longer than that. So we're talking about 8 months.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a noticeable difference in how you understood your body and food within weeks, without a doubt. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. The program was so eye-opening. I actually, Joel would walk in and I would be full of tears because things just hit home with me, and it just made me understand things that my body knew, but my mind wasn't understanding because we've been so dictated by so many different things and in our lives from pretty much from birth. And so it was just an eye-opening thing. And I loved every lesson and thing that I was ever read or watched or anything. It just made me realize that I wasn't nuts and there was a better
Oh,
way.
yeah.
And so that to me opened up so many doors, and it has just made me relax in who I am, knowing that I'm on a journey. I even have it tattooed on my body. Journey right there.
Is that new?
I got that. No, I got it when I was 40 because I knew my life was a journey and it's not a destination. And some days when we go through the tough, we like forget that we're not settling on a destination. We need to just enjoy the journey, the ups and downs, the bumps in the road, the mountains we have to climb, because that really shows us who we are in the end. And so I had to remind myself, there's a whole lot more that goes with a tattoo, but I had to put a reminder on my body because sometimes we just need little reminders.
Absolutely. Do you want to hear something that you definitely don't know about me? I
Mm.
have a tattoo
What?
that means journey as well.
Oh, crazy.
How crazy is that? I can't show it, so but it's on. I got it when I was 23 years old, having no idea on life whatsoever. But I was driving cross country. I was 22, I think, actually. Maybe I was even 21. I don't know. I was young. And it's a Native American symbol that said journey. And I saw it on my journey driving cross country. And I'm like, yeah, this is it. And then every single time I talk about this is a journey, not a destination, I think about that tattoo. So I just think it's very, very cool that we are connected in that way. So cool.
That is cool.
Maybe we need a hat that says that, like, as our next thing. Maybe that's a sign.
Ooh,
I like that.
I
Kate,
like that idea.
you really are inspirational. I think you've given so many different nuggets of hope and of journey and of strategy, just like all wrapped into one. So I know that this is sometimes scary to share your story, but you do it so eloquently and I think with so much passion. And I just, when I think about that woman I saw that was so nervous to push that button to say yes to herself, and then who you are now. You're just that version of yourself that was waiting to come out, that your husband knew was there, that you deep down knew was there as well. And, my husband always says, if I had to bet on anyone, I'd bet on myself all day long because I'm the only one that I can control. And at the end of the day, as scared as you were to bet on yourself, you were in control to be able to do this. You just needed the right roadmap to get you there. And at the end of the day, once you had that, you were just flying. So I can't wait to see what happens next. Get yourself certified as a coach and let's see what more of Katie we end up seeing.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to learn more. I'm kind of a info learning junkie, and yeah, I'm looking forward to anything that comes up next.
So cool.
So
So cool.
yeah.
So as you're listening, if you're getting inspiration from Katie, put in the comments what you're taking away from this. If you're interested in figuring out how you can too be on a journey like this, put a comment below or go visit us at disruptivenutrition.com/training and we can show you exactly what Katie is doing. And if you are interested in getting certified as well, you can go to mypfc3.com and go check out the certification that Katie's doing. Katie, you're the best. I'm super excited about all that's coming, and I'll see you on the next coaching call.
Awesome. See you.
Bye.